This picture probably looks a little different. In fact, I hope it does, because it's the first one like this that I've posted on Weekly 50. It's a macro picture. It's a very close picture. And I guess a purist might say it's not a true macro picture because I didn't take it with a macro lens. And so the optical properties of this aren't what they would be with an actual macro lens. But macro is sort of like a general term. Macro, really, the definition is just large. And macro photography involves the ability to recreate something very small at a 1-to-1 ratio, or a very large, a life-size ratio. That means if you've got a penny, let's say, in front of you, a macro picture of a penny would involve creating a penny that's literally the same size as a penny on the sensor of your camera. That means a macro picture of your penny would virtually fill your entire picture. And it's hard to do that. If you take out your phone right now and you put a penny on the table and try and get really, really close, it's not going to be in focus. All lenses have a minimum focusing distance because of the way that lenses bend light. And I forget what the distance is on my 50 millimeter. I think it's something like 15 inches or something like that. So if I'm trying to focus on something that's any closer than about 15 inches, it's just not going to work. And the same is true with every lens, unless you have a very expensive macro lens, which are designed to focus on very close objects. You can have macro lenses that do not focus closely, like a 200 millimeter macro lens is not going to focus on something very close, but it is going to be able to recreate something at a 1-to-1 ratio. And that's kind of the overarching theme here, is that macro photography involves creating basically life-size representations of something on the image sensor of your actual camera. So how did I get this picture? I don't have a macro lens, and if I did, I wouldn't use it because it's not my 50 millimeter lens, although maybe I could buy a 50 millimeter macro lens. I got this picture with a set of close-up filters, which are literally magnifying glasses that you screw onto the end of your camera lens. And if you've got a DSLR, the lens has some threads on the front of it into which you can screw different things, like a UV filter, a polarizing filter, and things like that. You can buy a set of filters that are basically just curved glass. They look like magnifying glasses that you would have in like a detective novel, and you screw it onto the front of your lens, and it allows your lens to focus on objects that are super duper close. That's what I've got here. This is my pocket watch. I'm not trying to be an advertiser for Fossil watches. It's just my personal pocket watch. And I was able, with the help of some close-up filters, to focus on it really, really close and get it as big on my image sensor as it actually is in real life. Bigger, in fact. I think it's more than a 1-to-1 representation because of the filters I use. And filters, if you've ever wanted to play with macro photography but you don't know how to get into it, or you don't want to spend the money on it on a macro lens, buy yourself a set of filters because they're super duper cheap. I spent $35 on this set of 4 filters, and each one is varying degrees of magnification. And honestly, you just screw it right onto your lens, and then suddenly you can focus on something really, really close. It's not the same as an actual macro lens. There's a ton of limitations with these, but they're a great way to get involved with macro photography for super cheap. So give it a try. I highly recommend it. And it's something that you can put on virtually any camera lens, as long as you know the size of your filter thread, which should be listed on your lens itself. It should have a Greek phi symbol. It looks like an O with a slash through it, followed by a millimeter measurement. That's the size of your filter thread. So look online, Amazon, B&H. They're called close-up filters. I got a link on the blog to the ones I bought, but any of them would be fine for you. And the final thing I want to mention is, why a Fossil watch? Well, I'm posting this on July 6th, which it's actually slightly late, but my wife and I just had our 10-year wedding anniversary on near the end of June, and this watch is from that wedding. We bought, me and each of my brothers, so there were 4 of us in total. They were my groomsmen, and we each had this same pocket watch, and they were engraved with our initials. So this watch, to me, it's just a nice, tangible reminder. It doesn't hold the same sentimental value as my wedding ring itself, but it's a nice reminder of the long-lasting marriage that I've got, 10 years, and hopefully till death do us part. I want this marriage to last our whole lives, and so far we're doing great. So I thought it would be fun to take a picture of this watch, which it holds a lot of sentimental value to me, and post it. Even though it's not the exact date of our wedding anniversary, it's close enough as a bit of a way to commemorate the 10 years. So to my wife, if you're listening to this, happy anniversary. I love you very much. Here's to a fantastic 10 years and many, many, many more.